I'm Kelsey. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing one of my fancy booktube hats, and here today on the last day of the month, I am doing a monthly recommendations video because I can. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group originally created by Trina from Between Chapters and Kayla Rain, and currently moderated by April Sarah and Madeline from Novel Inc. I'll link the group below. Every month they give us a prompt, and anyone who wants to join in can post a list of recommendations on whatever your bookish social media platform is. And this month's topic is relatable characters. Now, my voice is kind of shot today, in case you can't tell. So I've just decided to go with a short list of 3 books and make this a really quick, easy video. The first book I have to recommend, though, is not a book, but a series, and that is Murderbot from the Bot Diaries by Martha Wells. I'm holding up the 4th book, Exit Strategy, because it's the one that I have in print on hand. But the first book in this series is All Systems Red. Murderbot is a combination machine and biological construct who is a security unit. But it has hacked its governor module, but instead of becoming like a rogue murder machine like people would imagine a rogue security unit would be, Murderbot has just kept doing its job and used that freedom to download and watch TV shows on the side, which feels really realistic. Like, yeah, I believe that. This series of 4 novellas is basically chronicling Murderbot's journey of self-realization as it ends up performing increasingly heroic feats on adventures with a series of different humans. Basically, Murderbot doesn't really know what it wants, and that's something that I really related with. Murderbot doesn't know what it wants to be in life, what it wants to do, what sort of role it wants to fulfill. Those options just haven't been put in place for it. It doesn't really know what it wants except to be left alone to watch the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon. Murderbot is also a character with anxiety, and it took me a while in this series for it to finally click that no, this isn't some like machine robot sort of equivalent of anxiety. Murderbot's anxiety comes from its human biological parts and brain, and is the result of what happens when you treat someone with, you know, a biological human brain as if they are a killing machine. Murderbot has a really hard time figuring out how to act with people and is really uncomfortable in a lot of social situations in a way that I think really resonated with me as an introvert, and I think it's resonated with a lot of different readers in a lot of different ways. I also think that Murderbot's consumption of media and relationship with the media it watches is very, very relatable. One of the things that happens over the course of this series is that Murderbot sort of learns to communicate what it finds meaningful about the stories it's watching. And that's like something we're all doing here on BookTube, but like it can be a learned skill. For me, like I was very, very nervous to talk about my like thoughts and opinions on something that I kind of consumed very privately for a while, so that's also something that I really relate to about Murderbot's story. Next, I'm going to throw in Sunshine by Robin McKinley, the title character, Sunshine. This is an urban fantasy vampire story, but I think a lot of Robin McKinley's characters are very relatable because they tend to be very down to earth, even in very bizarre situations. But the reason I chose Sunshine as a relatable character is because sort of her defining character trait throughout this book is how normal she seems, how normal she perceives herself to be, and therefore other people around her perceive her to be. She's a baker at a family-run coffee house, and her life just seems extremely mundane, but it turns out that there's reasons that she gets involved in all of these vampire things and like creepy supernatural stuff, and she's totally in denial about it, to the extent that she like doesn't deal with things that need to be dealt with because she doesn't really let herself believe that they're happening and that they're problems. And that's a sort of reaction to like really bizarre stuff happening that like actually makes a ton of intuitive sense to me. Like, I think I might also sort of just shut down and fail to cope in this sort of situation in a lot of the same ways that Sunshine does. And there's this sort of progression throughout the book of Sunshine realizing that like more and more people in her life are like kind of aware that there's this potential that like weird stuff would happen to her, and she's like confronting people and like, did you know? And they're like, well, yeah, but like, Sunshine, you just always seemed so normal, so we like assumed it wouldn't end up being a problem. And I see this kind of as a story of someone who sort of fails to rise to the occasion in like the traditional fantasy narrative ways that we expect, and I do find that very relatable. And then last but not least is a character I kind of am a little ashamed to admit that I relate to pretty hard, because he's a pretty terrible person in a lot of ways, and that is Mr. Norrell from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. He's a book hoarder, first of all, but like above and beyond that, he's a very selfish book hoarder, a very selfish person. He wants to be the only one who has knowledge, who has power, who has respect. He's also like a very antisocial person, but like not in an attractive way, but I so hate to admit like how deeply I get all of it. Like, I like to think I would never be like this, but I get it. Like, if I gave in to all of my worst impulses in life, I would be Gilbert Norrell. So those are my 3 quick choices for relatable characters. Let me know if you relate to any of these characters. If you don't, if you have other characters in books who you particularly relate with. Anyhow, I hope you're having a nice day. That is all. Bye for now.